as angry Danish driver has now got disqualified. Callum Lyons has gotten a drive-through for... What has happened here? So some drivers are anticipating the rain. It doesn't look to be anything just yet. As there's a bit of discussion now where the optimum strategy here is the moment. Some of the lads are saying mediums are better or dries are better, others are saying wets or the inters. Though I'm not seeing any rain at the moment in Singapore. They stay down 10 lap old mediums. The safety car will indeed be in this lap with 18 laps to go here. We're not even race distance yet. And Tias is going to lead us away here as the two front runners at the moment are on the medium compound tyres. As David gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. That's going to put a spanner in the works of their race. Further down the field, Sparrow and Camille are fighting. And Noah and Callum Lyons are fighting. It seems like the slicks are faster than the wets at the moment as it stands. There's a lot of drivers changing positions here. Panos and Joe are fighting. Panos getting the better of Joe at the moment. Panos started back at the grid, may I just add. Swistak and Bastian, old foes, are battling it out as Bastian's dropping like a stone. On to that, Roswell still at the back of the field, as it has indeed started raining by the looks of it. And the medium runners here are going to be quite happy in about a lap or 2 laps time, as long as they haven't overheated the tires. Roswell almost goes into the wall there. As Swistak gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Naughty, naughty. Noah fighting Joe. Joe seems to be dropping down a lot, but the Inters just don't have the pace just yet. Sparrow and Callum fighting. Daniel and Swistak fighting. The two Polishmen. And Camille right behind them is a Polish trinity. All three of them fighting it away. Oh! That's Camille almost loses the car. Had a bit of a wobble there. Roswell and Lewis fighting as well as TS goes even faster now with a 129.4, and we do see drops of rain on the screen. Callum into the pits. That puts the two Red Bulls at the spot. Mark and Sparrow. David fighting it out on the track. DRS still enabled. And Darrell having a bit of a wobble there as Joe has got a bit of a DRS stream behind him. Noah and Panos fighting it out, the Alpine and the Williams for P4 at the moment. Joe's going to be swarmed here. Oh, bit of a late move by Joe there on Darrell. And then that we do see, it looks like David's around, unfortunately for them. The race has gone from bad to worse. The wets just The inters just haven't kicked in yet by the looks of it. It still looks like slicks are the fastest tyres. However, the track is clearly getting slippier. Oh, that was a bit of a Checo there by Roswell, where Checo killed Alex Albon on that very same corner last year. Oh, it's getting very, very tricky out there now. 16 laps of these conditions. And we're going to be getting nearer the crossover. We're going to be inching closer and closer as the two Hasses are fighting Sparrow and Roswell. Sparrow almost goes into the back of Roswell, but narrowly avoids him. And David's into the pits. Luis, no. Yes, no. Mark is in the pits. Further up the field, quite a gap is formed now between Joe and Noah. There are 3 drivers in the pits now. And Panos is right on the back of Noah here. He's breathing down his neck. Roswell and Fingers and Sparrow are fighting as Roswell goes wide. Roswell's had a really up and down race at the moment so far. You can see the car struggling for grip now through this tricky Sector 2 in Singapore. Well, DRS is still enabled. It hasn't been disabled yet, so... But it's going to get to that point very soon. You just got to wonder at this point, have the intermediate runners, have they pit too soon? Are the tyres going to be too hot? Have they burned through their tyres too quickly? These are questions we have to ask. As another yellow flag in Sector 2, as Joe gets a 3-second time only for track limits, it's going to derail his chance to winning this race. But it looks to be Theus' anyway. Theus was so consistent at the top, led the whole way, had pole position, and you can really see the rain starting to come down now. Sparrow into the pit starts to obviously change into the intermediates. So what do the top 3 do here? That's the interesting question. Because as it stands, if they were to pit, Panos would be coming out as P1. Speaking of Panos, he's after overtaking Noah. So clearly the intermediates are gaining more and more traction now. And the pace is going to be coming to them. Really start to see the rain as Roswell into the pits now. He goes in with a new set of tyres and probably change his wing. Singapore is always a really long league race. I don't know why. In sim racing, it's just always very, very long. As opposed to like some other ones such as Austria, which is usually quite quick. Singapore always just seems to be a drawn out race. 14 laps to go here. And this is a great outlier for drivers. We can get to see some of their pace in comparison to people who shouldn't be in their tiers. That's the way to do it. Now, as we said, the 2 front runners are pit. And that leads our Greek man to be leading the way. After starting at the back of the field with Swistak, not taking a time, Panos is up to P1, just like that. Joseph Hearn in P2, Darrell Ann in P3. Great stuff from them. Now, they're going to have a very fresh and hungry Theus Korsman behind them on brand new intermediate tyres. And he's going to be breathing down their necks. DRS finally gets disabled. So now we're going to see the intermediates definitely take over as the whole field is now on that said tyre. Strategies have been neutralised. Panos with a 10-second lead here over Joseph Hearn. And there's a little train of 3 cars here. Darrell, there's a massive wobble there on the exit of 8, I think it is, or 9. No, that easily gives Thieves a place. As Swiss Stack is gone by the looks of it. No safety car, however. Yeah, interesting enough here, Theas is using the new hot lap mode on his ERS that we hear about so much from our bloody engineers every time we come out of the pits. And here he comes on Joe. He just seems to have more downforce than him as well. I would say Sales drifts by him. Joe comes into contact with the back from there. Theas almost goes into the wall as a result. Scary hours. Darrell into the pits. And so he can now change his wing. Hard to say. It looks like they are bringing a fresh wing out for him. Daniel also into the pits now. So, can Theas claw back these 11 seconds that Panos has made on him? Panos, you have to be said, done a great little job here. Started back of the grid. Now up to P1, just like that. However, Theas is closing. It looks like he's going to be closing over half a second this lap. Just over 12 laps to go. For some reason there isn't a lot of sound. I don't know why. But this when you go into this camera angle, but this camera angle isn't a lot of sound at all. They've improved the rain visibility in spectator mode. It's a small victory, I suppose. And the rain does indeed look to be getting heavier as we are riding in the helicopter cam, looking at an ERO newcomer, Mr. Noah Romer. The Frenchman is currently driving in the Alpine. Alpine recently announced Pierre Gasly is coming back with them after sacking Esteban Ocon. Picture points to Carlos Sainz being the driver who will replace Ocon at the end of the season, with Ocon meant to be going to Haas to replace the outgoing Nico Hülkenberg. And the race begins to settle down here. Theas is closing it on Panos, but not at a rapid rate here. Lap 20 of 31. As Basting gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Theas drifting around corners here. And he's gaining loads of time in doing so. Darrow with a 3-second time penalty as well for track limits. Oh, look at that, how close he was calling. That's the wall. Scary hours in a wet Yas Marina. Or Yet Marina Bay, whatever it's called. As Fingers is indeed retired from the session, he's lost the car. And that is going to bring out the safety car. If you're the top three, do you pit here? That is the question. If you're the top four, well, Joe Royal can't really pit. Joe Hamster does. Half an hour to the next race in Miami, and I think we're going to have a full grid there as well this evening. $18 out of 20 at the moment. We do indeed see the top two pitting. Joe pits. Both Joes pit. They're going to have to double stack it by the looks of it. Are they going to lose time? Does Bastian pit? He does indeed. Marco gets a drive through for speeding under the safety car. Oh, naughty, naughty. So the top six all in. Is Callum in? Callum is in as well. Has anyone actually stayed out is the question. Did Marker just get another drive share? Excuse me. As Sparrow gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding into pit lane. That is the penalty this year in this game. Don't ask me how or why, but... And he gets another one! Or is this just the same one and it's just bugged? Well, who knows. So the only person to stay out was Daniel, and he's gained a few positions as a result of that. Well, I don't know what's going on here. Mark just got disqualified. Our latest casualty this evening. And Mr. Nicolaitis will lead us on this safety car restart in probably a lap or 2 laps time, as it looks like the ring is getting quite heavy now. Joe Royal and Joe Hamster swapping positions on their safety car. Joe must have gone wide or something. We won't ask questions. So let's have a look here and see where we're standing. We're just waiting on a few more cars to catch up. And we'll be back and running here. As Bastion has just told me, there's been 23 front wing changes. And we're just done under 23 laps here. Singapore, what a beautiful track it is. As David Sloveni says, he has 5+ laps, plus 5 laps of fuel. Tia saying he's got plus 3.5. as the safety car will be in this lap, and I should get off my phone, as Panos is going to lead us on this restart here, as the car will be coming into the pits. A beautiful AMG Mercedes. Panos trying to get some temperature into his tires, as I'm just reviewing the day's work. And Panos is going to get going in just a jiffy, and looks like he has indeed went. Has he caught Tia's lapping? He has not, as they go around the final corner. As Panos has a massive wobble there just on the main straight, but looks to have kept the car in reasonable condition. Tia's not able to Tia's not able to counter on that, and Joe not able to count on Tia's either. Either is the other Joe. Now Noah closing in on Joe Hamster though. Whole grid seems to be nicely bunched up together at this point. No big shunts just yet as we've gone through the first few corners. As Daniel and Bastian are fighting, and I think Daniel has just been let through. As Camille gets another 3-second time penalty for track limits. Out of nowhere, things have gotten spicy. And the two at the back, Sparrow and Luis, have seemed to just dropped a bit off the pace. Sparrow's gone to the full wets. I was on my phone, not even paying attention, and this has just developed. As Martin Lobb says, Joe Royal for president. Good man, Martin. David getting past Callan for PNs, and Roswell sniffing the bum of Callan. Noah and Joe. We saw that too late to see who was at fault there. I just seen Joe on a wall. Bit of Joe on Joe violence. However, Panos seems to have kept the position away from Tees. He did out an 11-second gap before the safety car, so unfortunately for him. As David gets a 3-second time penalty, and the yellow flag is out again. It looks like Noah's just retired. Sorry. And he is right on the back of Panos. These two seem to be running away now in their own little race at the moment. David and Luis fighting further down the field. David has showed great promise this race up to a certain point. I think he's just had a few too many wing changes, unfortunately for him. Joe Royal in the background now, staying with these drivers as best he can. I think Tiaz and Panos are just in a league of their own, to be honest with you. As Noah says, one of the Ferraris did some damage to him. Sparrow, the only driver on the full wets at the moment. Is it full wet conditions though? That is the question. Rogerel up to P4. Great charge back up the field from him. Him and Daniel are battling it out with 6 laps to go here. Bastian all the way down there to P12 as we got, I don't know what's going on here. Why is Joe being ghosted or what? Anyway, he's not ghosted now, and he's gaining and gaining and gaining, making a bit of contact with the back of David's car there. Caroline skidding around that final corner. See the amount of water clearance from the drivers' wet tires as Camille and Luis are fighting into turn 1. Luis tries a little bit of a move there, a bit of a switchback almost. It makes contact with the back of Camille's car. Sparrow gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Those wets just haven't worked for them. And David and Callum fighting further up the field for P6 on the track with 5 laps to go now. Panos and Theus not really having that big battle just yet. Now Camille managing to hold off Luis just for now. Further to the field, Daniel and David are going to be fighting very, very soon, as David is rapidly closing onto the back of the Red Bull. As Joe Hamster now rapidly closing in on Callum Lyons. Looks to be all reasonably okay here between these two so far. As Tias gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits, that's going to put a serious span on the works here. And Joe and Callum are going to go side by side. And I think neither of them come out as the beneficiary of that there. And Camille is coming round to the scene as a result of that. Camille getting a bit too eager on the throttle by the looks of it. As Daniel's left the session, we're going to try and get him back in ASAP. Joe and Callum are still fighting, and Camille is right on the scene as well. As Joe makes contact with the back of Callum's car, I think it's been the 10th time I see him make the contact, back of the contact with somebody. As Daniel is back on the scene. Still in P6. I think he's lost quite a bit of time to David in front of him. And he probably would have had P5 here if it wasn't for that. But it looks to be, with 3 laps to go, Panos' race to lose unless something mad happens. This little battle here will be right to the end of the race unless someone crashes there or just loses a lot of traction. Just like that with Camille. Playing a rally game more so than F1 with this handling model. Panos absolutely dropping Thieves. Look, 4 seconds is the gap now. And I think, as things stand, I think that's going to be our final finishing positions for these 4 drivers, or 5 drivers at the top, maybe even the top 6. Let's have a look at the penalties, as David has 6 seconds. Those in front of him have 3. Camille with 6 as well, and the 2 down the very bottom with 3 as well. So the gap to the leader now. As Callum and Daniel fighting. Daniel maintaining the position, I think. No, hold on. As Callum can be careful there. Let's look at this. You've got 4 drivers very close to each other heading into the finale of this race. Daniel making a move on Callum into turn 1. Callum shutting the door in his face, and that's compromised Daniel to Joe as they go side by side into turn 3. Joe looking to get the better exit here. I'm just trying to keep it on the track at the moment as Camille waiting in the wings to pick up the pieces for any drivers having a moment. As Joe was a bit of a wobble there in the exit of 5, I think it was, or 4. 5, yeah. There's some big deltas forming here, even with the safety car restart. As Sparrow gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits again. That's their second of the race. The wet tyres, I just don't think they just kicked in. Like, you can clearly see the track is getting wetter, but I think it's just a little too late for Sparrow. It was right to try the alternate strategy, as Mark has left the session. David with another 3-second time penalty that's going to kill them. However, they seem to be going to be able to keep position at P5. This Callum Lyons is just too far off the base, 15 seconds away. And he's got a trail of 3 cars still behind him in Joe, Daniel and Camille. I think Callum Lyons is going to have a stellar season in the ERO this season. This game cycle, as Roswell has lost the car. And that's going to give Callum P5 by the looks of it. With literally 2 laps to go, and then the next race starting in 10 minutes time. Daniel with a 3-second time, but he did so well at this point to not get one. Luis up to P9, overtaking the de-inept Roswell. Panos, we have to tip our hats to you. You've been very good to start from the back, finish up the front. Cream rises to the top. Great drive from you. Now, this isn't done yet though between Callum and Joe and Daniel and Camille. The 4 of these are going to be racing to the line, and it's great to see from all 4 of them. Callum, the pace setter at the moment. Everyone's just kind of following single file at this point. Oof, Daniel takes a lot of curb there just before the big hairpin. It's turn 13. There's a big wobble as well, under braking. And Camille looks like Camille get a good exit here if he can control the car. Doesn't though. I think having the ERS on just put a bit too much wheel spin into it there. Same again. Daniel managing to keep the position. You see Luis in the background there. Joe and Callum still going at it though, tooth and nail. And Panos over 6 seconds now ahead of TS. Great stuff from him. Joe as well has to reset. Started in P2, is going to finish P3 by the looks of it. Well done to you too as well, sir. As Joe gets a 3-second time penalty, and that's going to, well, it doesn't actually make a difference. Just going to cement Callum Lyons in P5. However, Joe is closing on Callum. He's going to try and overtake him on the track, but it won't mean much. As they go through 7, now into 8 here. Joe trying a wider entry for a faster exit. Doesn't really work though, you just can't overtake in this part of the track. And that's going to be all she wrote, folks, by the looks of it. As we are going to follow him as he passes through the final corners, 17 and 18 and 19. Panos Nikolaidis wins in Singapore for pre-season race number 4, and followed by Theas, who's skidding his way along. Joe Royal also skidding his way along the line. Next is David Slivani. Great race from you. Now, Callum, can you finish ahead of these guys on the track? You will finish ahead of them on position anyway with the time penalties. And that will do it. And we have another race starting in 15 minutes. So just put the start time back by 10 minutes. Just so anyone needs to go to the toilet or get a drink can do so. So just to round out our finishers, well, our DNFers first of all, Bjorn, Mark, Lex, Alex, Regan, Swisstack, Maximilian, Daryl, Noah, and Rodwell, I think, round out the DNFers. Then we have Sparrow, Bastian, Camille, Luis, Daniel, Joe, Callum, David, Joe, Tias, all in second place because there is only one winner, and that is Panos Nikolaitis. Congratulations to you, sir. I'm not sure there's going to be commentary for the next race because I'm racing, but tune in later when we will be doing the grid reveals on Sunday, and the calendar will be released this evening. Take care. Have a great weekend, everybody.